Starting together. Well, good evening, members. We'll make a wee start to our meeting this evening. The Regeneration Community Committee on the 13th of February here in the Town Hall in Enniskillen, and some members joining us online as well. We welcome our Director team and Chief Executives. Good to have Kim back with us, so welcome you back, Kim. And also our IT support, Adele. Thank you as well. So the first item is apologies. If we have any apologies, please, we'll take them at this stage. Okay, no apologies. And sorry, Councillor again.
Just to make you aware, I'll have to leave the meeting early. Thank you, Chair, and I'll not be returning.
Okay. And item 2 is to sign the minutes and confidential minutes of the previous meeting on the 16th of January. Those have been signed, members. And item 3, have we any declarations of interest? Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. And declarations of interest. 4.1, member of the Grant Aid Panel. 6.1 refers to Peace Plus Partnership. And number 9, regarding the Mid-South West Region Governance Steering Group.
Thank you. Okay, I'll declare an interest as well as a member of the Grant Aid Appeals Panel at 4.1. Councillor Campbell.
Yes, Chairman, just on 6.1, just Southwest College.
Thank you, Glenn. Okay, members. Item 4 and 4.1 is to consider a report on Grant Aid Appeal, Grant Aid Panel, and that's paper A with Kim. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So paper A relates to Grant Aid Panel recommendations. The purpose of the report then is to approve the recommendations to the Grant Aid Panel meeting held on the 5th of February in relation to a number of appeals or a number of grants. Also to consider the outcome of a referred application to the Grant Aid Appeals Panel and the Landfill Community Fund proposal, and also to note grant aid and bursary allocations up to a maximum of £500. So in terms of the grant aid and bursaries, section 2 of the report outlines the range of grants which have been progressed. Applications were assessed against the range of objectives, and the assessment process was undertaken as outlined at paragraph 217, and an appeals panel is in place for any applicant wishing to appeal a decision. In respect of a grant aid appeals panel referred application, the panel met on the 20th of November. The panel upheld the appeal in relation to an application for community premises grant aid, and the application was referred for assessment to a senior officer who upheld the appeal and awarded funding as applied for. The decision was made on the basis that there had been a failure in adherence to procedures and guidance. Just to note that there is a review of the Grant Aid Appeals Panel process underway, and we will be bringing a report back to a future meeting in relation to the updated assessment process. The Section 2.3 of the report also outlines the approach in relation to the Landfill Community Fund and the recommendation to extend the reserve list up to the conclusion of the landfill community funding to support existing projects that have progressed through the open application process. So the recommendations are to approve the recommendations of the Grant Aid E-Panel meeting held on 5th of February in respect of grants and bursaries, Grant Aid Appeals Panel and the Landfill Community Fund, and to note the awards approved by the relevant head of service for awards up to £500.
Thank you, Kim, very much for that. A proposer and seconder, please, members, for the report before us. Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly.
Happy to propose, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And second, please, Councillor Gannon. All agreed. Thank you. And the next report is 4.2, is to consider report on performance improvement objectives for the year 24 to 25. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Chair. So paper B outlines the approach to identifying our performance improvement objectives for the next financial year. The purpose of the report is to seek approval of these draft improvement objectives for consultation purposes. The Council's draft corporate plan identifies 4 core priorities, and it's proposed that in progressing our improvement objectives that we would align them to the agreed core corporate priorities as set out in our new corporate plan. So section 2.2 of the report identifies 4 updated improvement objectives and the associated actions that support those. And the appendix to the report also sets out further detail in relation to how those have been developed, how we're going to measure progress and the actions that will be taken. So further feedback will be sought through public consultation, and a draft performance improvement plan, which will incorporate feedback from the consultation process, will then be presented to the May meeting of this committee for members' approval and to enable us to publish our performance improvement plan in advance of the statutory deadline of the 30th of June 2024. So it's recommended that the draft improvement objectives are approved for public consultation.
Thank you, Kim. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thanks, Chair, and thanks to Kim and the team for putting this report together and reading through it. I'm happy to propose the recommendations as listed.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Councillor.
Chair.
Councillor Armstrong.
Chair, thank you. Before I second it, just have a question really on the target, the poverty, and really how poverty is it's a very sensitive subject for some people. So in the consultation, how do we ensure that we reach the right audience there in that consultation and provide for their needs? And I'm just happy to second that at the same time. Thank you.
Larry, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So I suppose in developing these, we're building on a lot of the work that has already been taken forward through the community plan and through the work that has already been progressed and developed in council in relation to our anti-poverty strategy. So the development of these improvement objectives has drawn on that significant work that is already in place. We do have a consultation plan as well, so we will be engaging with various stakeholder groups and working very much in tandem with the Community and Wellbeing Department and the officers who are progressing that work.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Agreed on that report, members. Thank you. Item 5 is our Community and Wellbeing Directorate reports. And the first one, 5.1, is to consider reporting the review of external lighting policy, paper C. And that's John. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, a review of the external lighting policy. It is a planned review of the policy, and the track changes are included in Appendix 1, and a clean copy is in Appendix 2. I know Appendix 1, when you look at it, may look as if there's a significant amount of changes in the external lighting policy, but that really isn't the case. The main change is that the number of days in that buildings can be illuminated, it's proposed, will increase from 4 to 6 per calendar month. There was always a limit placed on it in order to have maximum impact for the event that was being illuminated, in order to provide that we weren't lighting up every day and lose impact. But we have seen over the last number of years the number of requests that we have received has really increased. For the number of events or the number of charities and so on that wish it to be increased. So we are proposing to increase it from 4 per month to 6 per month. And also that requests from public bodies will adhere to the same criteria as the charities and community groups, and indeed the council themselves, to illuminate on a specific occasion or event, so that it will be assessed in line with the policy objectives. So therefore, Chair, it's recommended that the council approves the revised illumination policy for the Stool Arts Centre and Enniskillen Castle.
Thank you, John. We need a proposal and seconder for that revised policy, please, members. Councillor Armstrong proposed and Councillor Gannon the second. Thank you. All agreed? Okay, thank you. And 5.2 is to consider a report of the Director of Community and Wellbeing.
Thank you, Chair. 3 elements to this. One is to seek approval to provide a letter of support to Oma Sacred Heart Church as they apply for the National Lottery Heritage Fund. The project itself is to preserve the historical significance and the cultural significance of the church in Oma, and the project will involve restoration of the church's exterior stonework, but it's much more than just the physical appearance of it. It involves the heritage training for volunteers. It will involve guided tours of historical research, community engagement, and a heritage trail also. As I say, they are applying to the National Lottery for funding and looking for a letter of support in that respect from the council. The second element is to seek approval for the Western Health and Social Care Trust to locate the breast screening unit at the Fermanagh Lakeland Forum. This has been an annual occurrence and indeed a very welcome addition to healthcare within the district. It has been, like I say, for quite a number of years now, located at the Fermanagh Lakeland Forum, and just for people entering that building or whatever, it is very much to the fore. So for a period of 4 months, that they're requesting use starting from the 21st of February. And thirdly, it is proposed that we open a sponsorship call in February here for a number of sponsorship streams, events and festivals, culture night events, and European Heritage Open Day events. And just to note that there will be a meeting of the Event Strategy Working Group on Thursday, the 15th of February, where all aspects of funding in relation to whether council-led events or sponsorship events will be discussed. So therefore, Chair, it's recommended that the Council approves the provision of a letter of support to Sacred Heart Church, to the National Lottery Heritage Fund, approves the siting of the breast screening mobile unit in the Lakeland Forum car park, and notes the opening of the 24-25 call out for sponsorship on Thursday, the 22nd of February. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, John. Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly.
Thanks, Chair, and happy to propose the recommendations as set out. Thank you.
Thank you. And a seconder, please. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, thanks again, Chair. Just one query there, John, just with regard to first part regarding the Sacred Heart Church. We know obviously that's referred to as the Church's Quarter in that part of town. Are you aware of any other churches there, like Trinity Presbyterian or St. Columba's Parish Church, been involved in any such, searching for lottery funding or anything out there? Or even involved in in the guided tours and that type of thing? This is all part of the same quarter.
Not something I'm aware of, Chair, but certainly something that we can and would be a welcome addition probably to the guided tours and to the historical significance of that area. So it's something we will inquire about from the church before we send the letter of offer or letter of support.
I'm happy to second the recommendations, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Okay, all agreed. Thank you, members. And 6, Regeneration and Planning Directorate Report 6.1 is to note update report on funded programmes. That's paper E. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Chair. So this report provides an update in respect of funded programmes and 2 programmes in particular. So the Rural Economic Accelerator Programme and the Peace Plus Programme. So the Rural Economic Accelerator, or REAP programme, is funded by the Department of Levelling Up Housing and Communities. It is funded through the UK Shared Prosperity Fund and is aimed at engaging economically inactive beneficiaries from across the District Council area. It also runs with South West College as the lead partner. The programme runs across this council area and the Mid-Ulster Council area. The Council's team works in conjunction with Fermanagh Rural Community Initiative and is seeking to support 540 participants over a period of 2 years with a progress of a minimum of 20% to progress to employment. We have a memorandum of understanding in place from the lead partner, South West College, to the value of just over £1 million to cover delivery costs. Table at 215 at the table sets out the REAP targets and the total achieved to date. Because there was a delay in issuing the memorandum of understanding, there has been a delay to project commencement. So some of our targets for this year have been reduced by 30%, but we are confident that we'll be able to scale up the delivery and meet the overall targets over the 2-year period. The second part of the report refers to the Peace Plus programme and the work that has been undertaken in respect through the Peace Plus partnership towards the local peace action plan. So the partnership is in the final stages of the development of the local community action plan, and a special partnership meeting will take place next week to seek partner approval for the plan, with formal council approval then anticipated at the March meeting of the Regeneration and Community Committee, with council powers to be sought for that meeting. The action plan delivers on a range of cross-community and peace activity across 3 themes as outlined, and the action plan must be submitted to SEUPB by the 28th of March. So it's recommended that Council notes the update on progress with regard to the REAP programme and the update in relation to the Peace Plus local community action plan development and the application to SEUPB.
Thank you, Kim, for that. We're looking at proposer and seconder members for that report as well, please. Councillor Gannon, thank you, and Councillor McArdle to second. Are we all agreed? Thank you. And the next report is 6.2, to note the report of the Director of Regeneration and Planning.
So this report, the purpose is to provide updates in relation to our capital spend for the current financial year, an update on the business case for Cottage Law in Belcoo, and also an update in relation to notification of a consultation around onshore petroleum licensing policy. So Appendix 1 to the report gives an overview of capital spend as at January of this year and anticipated spend at year end. And that was reported to the Capital Programme and Investment Oversight Group held on the 22nd of January. Business case for lighting the pathways at Belcoo. So members will recall that this was presented last month for noting purposes. There was a recommendation to defer it until this meeting, but at the February Council meeting, it was resolved that officers would complete a review of the options appraisal policy, and that report will be brought to the March Regeneration Community Committee meeting. And so it was felt appropriate that that business case would be brought to next month's meeting alongside the updated options appraisal policy. The onshore petroleum licensing policy. So we have been notified of a consultation by the Department for the Economy in relation to onshore policy. It advises that the department's preferred policy option is a moratorium and eventual legislative ban on exploration and production of all forms of onshore oil and gas. And that would be aligned to the Council's policy position in relation to fracking, which has been outlined by the Council on a number of occasions alongside the findings of a previous study which the Council commissioned. So the recommendations are that the Council notes the update on the capital expenditure programme, notes the update on the business case for Cottage Law in Belcoo, and notes that a response to the Department for the Economy's consultation will be presented to next month's meeting of the Regeneration Community Committee.
Thank you very much, Kim. Councillor Gannon.
Thank you, Chair. Just just to mention on the onshore petroleum licensing consultation, GLAD will be responding to that, very important given the history of attempts at fracking in the area. Be no surprise, I'm going to go to 2.1.2 there. I was just reading the report and to what the Director said. The Director said that they'll be bringing the business case back when the new policy, if I picked up correctly. Just that's not what the report says. Just to make that clear, the report just says that at the February Council meeting, resolved officers would complete a review of the options appraisal policy, which would be brought, not a report on this business case. And as well, just to put on the record, Chair, at the last meeting, we had a bit of a, we'll say, debate around policy, but I think we've cleaned that up, that the wrong policy was published, and therefore I was quoting the incorrect policy, and the Chief Executive was correct in her interpretation of the policy, just to make that clear. What I would be proposing, I think, might be along the lines of what the Chief Executive was suggesting last month, and I know we've kind of went around the world to get back to where we were, I appreciate, is that the business case is reviewed or redone in line with, or resubmitted, or I can't remember the correct words the Chief Executive used, maybe she could remind me, in line with what councillors' comments were and the council's view, and probably in line with the reviewed options appraisal policy. Now, I'm aware that might delay it another month or so, but I think it'd be worthwhile to get it right and do it under the new if there is to be a new options appraisal policy, if that makes sense. So happy to propose the first and third recommendation, but on the second recommendation, be proposing that it's brought back in the manner as suggested at such a time that the options appraisal policy is reviewed. Chair, thank you.
Okay. Do you just want to clarify at this point that Chief Executive first, please?
Chair, no, thank you. My suggestion maybe, Chair, would be, I think the commentary at last month's meeting was members had obviously expressed their own view around the merits of the project. And I suppose maybe what I was suggesting at that point was that it would be reviewed in light of those comments. In the intervening period, we have had the proposal to review the options appraisal mechanism, by which members had also requested that flexibility be included within that for members to go contrary to an officer recommendation if that's the case. So we would certainly have that policy through to you in March of, next month, but it would require council ratification. My inclination would be, if Councillor Gannon then was so minded, is maybe not to review the business case in the context of the old policy, but that we would wait. So it would therefore be the April meeting before the matter would come back before you. But so I think we're saying it seems, I suppose, just at the committee meeting last month, there wasn't the prospect of reviewing the policy, and I think that gives us that flexibility.
Okay, I think we're happy with that. Thank you, Chief Executive. Councillor Armstrong.
Okay, Chair, it's a question on the capital fund, the capital programme expenditure update, and the actual spend to date is quoted there at 5,437,000 and estimated year end 9,524,000. Are we assured that the differential will be spent by the year end on capital funded projects?
Anne, thank you.
Yeah, well, that's what we're working towards that there. That is what we expect to spend before the end of this year. Yes, that is based on meetings with each of the project managers, and it's based on what the projected expenditure is. And just for completeness, I suppose, all of those projects, some of them will extend it to the next financial year, but that has been taken account of in terms of the capital plan for 24-25.
Are you happy to propose at that, or second, sorry, Councillor Armstrong?
Yes, Chair, happy to second. Thank you. Thank you, Anne.
And all agreed members, thank you. I think that takes us to correspondence, members. I believe we can take 7.1.1 and 7.1.2 and 7.5 together around the area of special scientific interest site monitoring. They're all for noting, is that correct? So if we could have a proposer just for them three pieces, 7.1.1, 7.1.2 and 7.5 to note. Councillor Warrington, is that right? Will you give me a proposal? Thank you. And a seconder, please. Councillor Rennick. Thank you for that, members. 7.2 is correspondence dated the 24th of January from Agenda NI regarding a Northern Ireland Housing Conference. Is there any members interested, or just for noting really at this stage?
Just unless members are interested.
Unless members are interested, it's maybe just for noting at this point, but Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly.
Just propose to note, Chair.
Thank you. And Councillor Thompson.
Second the note, Chair.
Thank you. 7.3 then is correspondence dated the 2nd of February from the Executive Office regarding enhanced funding for the District Council Good Relations Programme. And you have read that, members, that's for noting as well. Councillor Armstrong.
Happy to propose to note. And just, is there any indication yet when the budgets would be forthcoming?
No, Chair, no indication yet. And I know it probably will be later on, nearly towards, I would imagine, and it may well be into the financial year before we get full notification of the budget.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, and just a seconder to note, please, members. Councillor Campbell, thanks. Thank you. 7.4 then is correspondence dated 8th of February from Enniskillen Lakelanders ASC regarding the rebuild of the forum. John, just give us a wee update on that, or on that piece of correspondence.
Yes, Chair. We have met with Enniskillen Lakelanders on a number of occasions, and I think it is clear. Well, we have made it clear to them of the availability of a pool during the period of construction for the Fermanagh Lakeland Forum. Members will be well aware of the process that we are going through and the process of the full business case, which should be with members in the summer of this year. We have corresponded with the Lakelanders before this communication came out, looking for a response to a query which we had with them from last October in relation to alternative provision, and we will follow up with them again to meet them again in order to try and sort that issue out.
Thank you, John. And it is for noting, I suppose, this piece. So, Councillor Campbell, thank you.
Yes, Chairman, just on the general issue of swimming provision, was there any update on, I know there was plans to trial new arrangements for OMA, and maybe I've missed something, but is there any update just on that?
Brought into place, has it, John?
No, not yet. We'll be bringing a report which will show the trial and the new system that is to be brought in OMA, and I think members will welcome that.
Thank you. Thanks, Chairman. Councillor Green.
Thank you, Chair. Just when you say, John, that we're waiting on a reply and that that we're having talks with them around this, could you elaborate on that? What does that look like, or what?
Well,
what are we talking about? Because I suppose if there's not a swimming pool there for 3 years of that, I don't think we can invent one. So what alternatives is there? Like, you know, I struggle to see how this can be resolved.
Yeah, it is clear that we are replacing the pool and therefore it will be out of operation. The correspondence that we have with them is in relation to a financial benefit to them for alternative provision where they may go, you know, whether it be to OMA Leisure Complex or elsewhere in order to provide their swimming lessons, and you know, just to provide some sort of financial assistance to them during that period.
Thank you, John, for that. Do we have a proposer just to note that, please, members? And a proposer and seconder, please. Diana, thank you. Councillor Armstrong. And a seconder, please. Excellent, thank you. Councillor McCarroll. Okay, 7. Is there any other pieces of correspondence? One other item. There's one item from, will you bring it to us, Chief Executive, please?
Thank you, Chair. So, Chair, this is correspondence that we received on the 9th of February. And members will see it's from the Planning Appeals Commission, and it's setting out the arrangements for the Dalradian public inquiry and the various linked applications. We will be now in a position, Chair, to report more formally on the progress. You'll see that the dates are set out really in all of the supplementary documentation, the proposed arrangements and deadlines for the various submissions of cases. And there's a pre-inquiry meeting in mid-March as well, which we will be participating in. So I suppose this is really the first formal indication, Chair, that we have received since the notification of the inquiry. And the first key date is on the last page of the letter. So the 20th of March is the formal pre-inquiry meeting, statements of case by the 17th of May, rebuttals by mid-June, and then the formal opening of the inquiry will be on the 10th of September.
That's for noting at this stage.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Chief Executive. A proposer and seconder to note, please. Councillor Rainey. And a seconder, please, members. Councillor Green. Thank you. I don't think, members, there's anything else. I had no AOB. With a few items to cover and confidential. So if we had a proposal, Councillor Thompson, and a seconder, please, to move to Councillor Anne-Marie Donnelly, to move to confidential. Thank you, Adele. Okay, we'll bring in our Chief Executive.
Thank you, Chair. While in committee, the Council considered an update report on the Mid-South West Growth Deal and noted the report. Also considered an update report, a confidential report in the Director of Community and Wellbeing, and agreed with recommendations, and received an update on a legal matter, and again agreed with the recommended course of action.
And a proposer and seconder, please. Councillor Armstrong and Councillor Thompson. Well, thank you for your assistance tonight, members. It's good to get read up. John had some flowers to buy on the way home, I was telling him earlier, but he informed me he already had it done. He's a step ahead of the game. Safe home, and thank you all.
Well done.